All right, great. Okay. Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is the 2 o'clock session with Justin Keene of Script Wizard LLC. And Justin is presenting on Canvas Wizardry, empowering teachers through immersive training. And I will hand it over to Justin to give some further introductions and context.
Hi, everyone. My name is Justin. I am fairly new to Colorado, but I have to say I love the weather here. We've been here 2 years, and I'm so happy to be here with all of this sunshine. So those of you that have been here a long time, I'm sure you understand what I mean. So I earned the nickname the Wizard years ago when I was a tech facilitator at a large high school, and when you have 3,000 students, 160 teachers, and you've got to pull off managing all the different things that we're running, you've got to get very good. And that's when I ended up actually learning to code and get very good with script spreadsheets, and that's where the nickname of the Wizard came. In my full-time job, I'm a Canvas LMS administrator. We support 120 schools all across the country in multiple states and overseas. And I'm the coder of the group. So I'm the one who refuses to do things manually. I'm going to take the time to write the code to do it first. My master's degree is in instructional technology, and I'm even a Google certified trainer and was once, it actually just expired, my national board's certified teaching. So I was a social studies teacher for 10 years, tech facilitator. I've done professional development with teachers throughout that whole time, both starting at the school level and then with my prior district, we had 150,000 students and 20,000 employees. So I was a part of the technology program there. We focused a lot on Google in Canvas, helped people with the Google certified tests. So if you've been around long enough, if you remember the old 60 question tests, it was multiple choice. We were doing that. And then when they switched to the more application type, we were helping support teachers with that. I ended up moving up to the district level as a learning tools developer. So I was a Google admin, Canvas, Dino. So we were pretty busy because there was just two of us. And then currently with Script Wizard, this is a new startup that my business partner I've started, and he's actually a former student that I taught many years ago. He was that kid that you put him in front of a computer and he's a wizard and he's going to do all these cool things, and often misunderstood because of it. And we developed this relationship of a mentor-mentee relationship, and now he's a part of the family. And we have our own self-hosted Canvas and our own Google instance now. So one of the things I wanted to start with, I know the session says lurk, but there's a little intro activity that is kind of fun to do. I've done it with professional development with staff members all over the place, and I put trust exercise on there because if you've allowed people to edit the documents all together, things can happen. So just go into that knowing that please be aware that don't step on each other's toes, if you will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to go search for a meme. I love memes. I send my wife a meme every day. I have for 9 years now, and it's usually related to coffee, kids, dogs, teaching, whatever we're doing. And it's just a way to communicate that I think is great because it's like that shared experience that everybody understands when they see it. So I want you to go search for a meme and copy that meme. And then in the presentation, I'm going to put in the chat here, you all will have edit rights to it. So open it up and go find a slide that says place image here and put in your meme. And then again, keep it appropriate. That's the trust exercise. And then I got 2 questions in there about what it's like to lead professional development. So let me grab that link. I'm going to show you what it looks like. So this is my slide here. And I put my name on it just so I can identify it as mine. But, teachers arriving for the first day of school, kids getting up, it's that, and so it begins. But the 2 questions is what are the most challenging aspects of teaching teachers? And then what kind of strategies have you used to overcome those challenges? So let me grab that link. I put it in preview mode without thinking. And I'm going to put that in the chat now. So that link is in the chat. You do have edit rights. Go find a slide that says paste meme here. And you can just paste it in. Formatting's up to you. If you've struggled with wanting things to be perfect, that's fine. I get that. I've been there quite a long time. When I first started teaching, I used to put tennis balls on the bottom of my desk because the kids would move them around, and that was my way of not having all that noise and chaos. But we'll take a minute and let you all put um, your memes in. And while you're doing that as well, on the first slide, you'll see that I put a copy here link. This is for a different version. This version is again what I use with staff. And I allow them to put their name in, school, title, years of education. You could change up what you want it to be, but it's a blank presentation. Have at it. It's a good little exercise. And you've got to, please forgive my coworkers. The pups are up and about, so give me 1 second while we do this. Somehow we've ended up with 4 dogs, and I call them my lazy coworkers. And while we're doing this, if you want to unmute and ask any questions before we dive in, please feel free. That paste meme there box is just a text box. You can paste over top of it. Sorry, Tammy. Please know that all this stuff is available on my website if you need it. And then let me put that in here before I forget. While you all are doing that, I wanted to discuss some of the things that I learned through the journey that started all those years ago. If you've taught and moved outside of the classroom, I would be willing to bet that the first thing you'll say is your perspective changes very, very quick. If it's not just about your classroom, it's not just about your students in the classroom, things change when you move outside of that. And I've had the opportunity to not only go outside the classroom into a school, but then go to a bigger district level. And that really changes perspective. And teaching technology is a lot different than teaching social studies. Social studies is about asking those questions of why and trying to make those connections. But when you're teaching technology, the thing that I always struggled with is I don't want to be talked at, and I don't want to just breathe the air and get credit. What am I going to get from it? So the insights that we've gained from all these years is, one, create an authentic experience, as close as possible to what they are doing in the classroom, if you will, or what they're going to be doing with that, whatever app or thing that they're using. Always provide a tangible takeaway. So if the slides are going well for you, and I can see we've got some memes in, this is something you can make a copy of, edit, change, use right away. This is great if you're trying to get people to learn to use Google Slides. If they've never collaborated on a document before, this can be a good experience, or it can be a bad one because you step on each other's toes and edit. And so again, something tangible. The thing that was the most shocking was understanding there are different ways to complete a task. And I think if you've taught and you've asked your students to do something, or the teachers, or if you have children, I want to get this done. This is my goal. And then you find out that they take 3 or 4 different ways to get there, but they've gotten there. And that was a big revelation, in that accomplishing the task is the end goal. The paths they take are what help them remember it and help it make it more meaningful. And then the providing multiple support and varied support structures. I'm not one, as a coder, I hate reading documentation. I really do. And it doesn't allow me to try it. I'll watch a video here and there, but at the end of the day, I'm the type of person that needs to try it. So one of the approaches we've always taken is, as many ways to support you as we can, let's do that. If we need to sit and meet with you and walk you through it, great. If I can give it to you and say, go finish it, and you knock it out, great. Whatever works for you. And I think if anybody in education in general knows that the most important thing probably is to listen. And I put the quote at the bottom. It's really boils down to, we learn by doing. And so the philosophy that we've taken on over the years is this: providing learners with the opportunity to engage in hands-on learning with the application is crucial. If I want you to learn how to use Facebook, I want you in Facebook doing it. I want you clicking the like button, sharing a post, whatever it is. That's the most authentic way. And then the next part of that is, with that support, create that safe environment to allow for exploration and growth. Go try and make a mistake. It's okay. Get stuck and try to find a different way. It's okay. Go use Google or Chat GPT, but do it in a safe place so that the learner has the opportunity to figure it out. So I want to go back to our memes. And thankfully, it's all anonymous at this point. So, all right. So the challenges on this first one: getting people to buy in, getting people to show up. I definitely agree. Yeah, that's kind of what's driven what approach I've taken to professional development. Why do they care? Why does it matter to them? How can they use it in their classroom right away? Big picture solutions versus tiny rabbit holes. Yes, that happens, I think, with all meetings too. And I think finding that balance, because sometimes those rabbit holes for small individuals gets them to buy in. And some of the strategies offer training in multiple modalities, bring them in individually if they need it. I agree. So the meme, yeah, that's the truth right there. If you've been in the classroom, if you've been in a school, or as a parent, yeah, that's a good one right there for me. The read the syllabus. I think with this one, you can take away you can take away the syllabus, and I think it's still applicable. Read the email, read the syllabus, read the instructions. The other thing I agree with too is there are so many technology platforms. So having the ability as an organization to say, this is what we're doing, this is the focus, I think is great. And trying to weed out that noise, which looks like you're on with. So first of all, thank you for putting the source. I totally forgot about that. So my full-time job, I work remotely, and that is the truth right there for meetings. The dogs and I get up, we go outside, and we sit down, and we've been up for about 15 minutes total by the time I start working. So yeah, that's something. With time, yeah, as adults, we always joke that adulting, there's just too many things to do and not enough time. So I definitely agree with that. The delivery of PD versus Zoom and hybrid. Having been a classroom teacher, I prefer to be in person sometimes, because you can get that interaction, you can get that back and forth. And then the compensation question, that's a very good one. Open office hours is a great way. Recording um, is a great way. The flipped classroom, if you will, and then advocating for our teachers. If you've led professional development, you know that the advocating for your teachers is a huge way to help develop those relationships as well. Um, yeah, yeah, the instructional designer. That's spot on. We've been developing our script wizard stuff for the last year, and even looking at it this morning, I'm like, is this good? Do we want to keep this? So yeah, I'm right there with you. Um, Again, lack of time and resources, budget definitely can be an issue. And then I think with your strategies, you say something important. Whoever put this, block off time in your calendar. I think that is something that is a lesson that comes from growing and helping others say it's okay to block that time off. And you don't have to check your email. You don't have to do this. Block it off and give yourself some time, I think really helps. Attending free professional development. Yep. Again, and curated to my interest. Good. I like that. The grumpy cat is always great, but the faculty meeting, yes. Been in enough of those. Different levels of tech knowledge definitely helps. Constant change as tech grows is a struggle for all of us. Um, if you will, in the chat, what are some ways that you keep up with that constant change? For me as a Canvas admin, I subscribe to a couple of different communities and read that kind of stuff, even some of the Google stuff. So, what are some of the ways that you keep up? Meet multiple trainers is always good, but that goes back to lack of budget sometimes. And then resources, yeah, before rolling out tech is, yeah, teaching in the summer a lot. We've had that trouble. Yep, yep, yep. I watched someone go from Canvas to Moodle, and yeah, they were not thrilled about having to do all the changes. Information overload is always a problem, and incremental changing or recommending incremental changes, doing it as chunking is something too that I've always found very helpful. So, yep. The phones in the classroom, that is a struggle, and I'm sure at the higher levels too. It's a struggle everywhere. I know it's a struggle at home even. So, but thank you all for sharing. Again, it was just a way to give you something to do. Think about something that we have those shared experiences with. If you want, that the front of the page has a link to make a copy. You are more than welcome to make a copy or use the idea. Obviously, it's just something to kind of approach it a little bit differently. So the Canvas teacher training that we developed, it's a self-paced course, and we joke it's automatically. It provides immediate feedback, and in short, it asks you to do a task, and then when you click the button to evaluate, it gives you feedback right away. So it's not just videos and links. We have the videos and the links, but we also have the doing the hands-on part. And the confetti comes from somebody we worked with years ago who she said, we got to amify, we got to make it look pretty. So the confetti is kind of our fun way to recognize the influences she had onto us. But then we learned that, people like the confetti. They get it right and they're like, oh, yay, I've got confetti. And the way it works is you're enrolled in two courses. You get a training course that has our app and it presents all the tasks. And then you get a custom sandbox, and that's your sandbox. And that's where you're going to go and try and break things, go try do things, complete the task we asked, and see what happens. Once you've completed it, you click the evaluate button and you get feedback. And so what that looks like, I've done dual screen in this video here, is on the left is our app, and it's actually embedded in Canvas. And so you open up a category and you're going to do something simple like removing the overlay. I know this seems small, but my business partner is actually colorblind. So when he learned this trick, he was like, oh my gosh, thank you. I can see these things so much better now. So on the right side, they're in Canvas. They're going to remove the color overlay. So you can see those colors are gone. And then on the left side in the app, you click evaluate. The code goes and does its work. And if you get it right, you get confetti. If it's incomplete, we'll give you some feedback based on what the code is seeing. And we've tried to, as best we can, plan for all scenarios. So that is our app in action. And what I would like now is I would like you to try the demo and give us some honest feedback. Do not be afraid to be honest. I always joke, I've got two kids. I was a teacher, I was a bouncer, I was a prison guard. You're not going to offend me at this point. So if you go to our website, scriptwizard.tech, you'll see on the homepage a link to sign up for the demo. And what we would like you to do is try the demo out and just see what you think, be honest. And I'm sitting here monitoring to make sure that once things come in, we'll send it to you through an email and give it a try. Again, it's that hands-on learning. Some other things that we've got with it that are going on is, the question is who is this for? And it's interesting. When COVID hit, I had just moved to the district level, and the school I had supported had 160 teachers. And the principal says, "What do we need to do?" And I said, I had a prior iteration of this course. I said, "Take this course, have all of your teachers take it." It sets that baseline. And what happened was we didn't hear much from them. And when we did, it was usually a legitimate issue. And we knew moving forward that they were in good shape. The second bullet point here was school administrators. I'm always a proponent of admin understanding what your students and what your teachers are experiencing. And so that's something as well that we've seen that sometimes the admin need those refresher courses or to dive in there so they can understand it and be another support for everybody. You guys are doing that.
Hey, Justin, there's
Yeah.
a question in chat. I can read it to you if I know you have a bunch of screens up.
Yeah.
John asks, what was the app programmed in, and did you create an API for Canvas?
So that's multiple layers. I actually have a Canvas library that I've created because I utilize Google Apps Script. That's where I cut my teeth, and I like the ability to connect to all the different Google things. So by having our own instance in Canvas, I can actually write to the Canvas database in the custom data field. And then I use the libraries to call the Canvas API, which makes my life a lot easier. So it's, the same structured call every time, but it is programmed in Google Apps Script, and then we are hosted in Azure. I hope, John, that answers your question. And speaking of which, has anybody in here used Google Apps Script before? It's one of those smaller ones that people don't know about. If you're not familiar with it, it's a cloud-based platform that's hosted by Google. It's free. People don't realize it's extremely robust. So like I said, we're able to create the app, which let me show you. So this is the demo course, and then utilizing custom JavaScript in Canvas, I've linked this button up to pull up our application from here. And so the couple that I have on the demo, you should be getting an email in just a few minutes. So key features, immediate feedback, which is vital. The goal is if someone has sat down and has the time, which we all know is very important, we don't want to be a barrier for them not getting finished. So if something doesn't go quite right, let's give you immediate feedback, help you understand what you're doing. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to do it because you've got to figure it out and show that you can do it. But that immediate feedback is huge. It is immersive in that you are working within Canvas. So you have your own course, you're working it with your own settings, just as if you were back with your own organization. We have our app integrated in. And that's something we're always working on. And self-paced is always something too. I know when I took my master's, it was the time was not always the easiest to find. So having the ability to work when I had time was absolutely vital. The curriculum, we've tried to go as in depth as possible with setting those baseline and those standards. Let me find it. So we're going to look at configuring your dashboard and your account settings because those things are important. If it's not set up right, you're not going to be able to support your students. You're going to configure the sandbox, and we've got like course navigation, how to import content, setting home pages, adding teachers, and then there's one in there called adding student safety settings. And these are settings I put in a course to prevent students from creating groups and having those chats on the side that may not know are happening. And if you've experienced that, you know what I mean by that. Um, then we're going to get into editing the content. So we're going to give you some pages and tell you to edit things, put in pictures, edit text, put in a video type stuff. Then create content and then learn to organize it, set some prerequisites and all of the requirements and those things. And then the last thing, and I think as teachers, we know this, it's important to test what we're doing and giving our students, because if you've been in the classroom when technology doesn't work, that is one of the worst things ever. I remember, this was a long time ago now, but new technology we were trying in the classroom, and I'd come home stressed out. My wife was like, "Why do you keep doing this?" I was like, "Because I think it can help the students learn." So, testing is important. Getting into grading, looking at rubrics. I'm a Google person. I'm a Google certified trainer, but if I was in the classroom, I'd use Canvas simply because the rubrics alone are wonderful. And then lastly, get into some more of those more in-depth things with configuring your course. Yeah, these are the categories. I had it out of order, apparently. If we are set up for schools as well, and what we do different if a school or a district or an organization signs up is you get your own sub account. And the reason you can do that is you can customize the experience a little bit. And by that, I mean, if there are things you don't want to teach your teachers, like my current job says we don't want them adding other co-teachers. And we actually have put JavaScript in place for that. That's a task we can take out. So that way everybody's on the same page. And as administrator, you're the administrator, or whoever the contact is the administrator of the sub account. So you kind of can see everything. You can look at the sandboxes, you can see the grades, and for accountability purposes, that is important. So we've tried to be able to help with both sides, the individual and the school. So that's everything I've got. The code looks like it's working. Some of the people have already gotten the demo, and I'm going to tell it to run again ahead of schedule. If you have questions, please feel free to unmute, ask. I promise you won't offend. If something's not working, tell me. Again, I apologize for the pups. They're going to go get mad here in a second. Jessica, I didn't know if there was anything else. I know I'm shorter than I should be.
There's another question from John in chat that just came through. How often do you have to update the app? And just curious about the maintenance and version related to updating in Canvas.
Um, Updating the app, hopefully not often. If I've coded things correctly, hopefully not often, but thankfully I can set up versioning so I can make the changes and then push if need be. And then updating in Canvas, my co-partner, we call him the architect. he's the one that manages the database on the side of things. And he's the one that monitors all those boards about what that is. So I hope that answers your question. Hopefully, if we've done our work properly, not that often. We've got some other things, other tasks lined up, sitting in Monday.com waiting for us to kind of push them out, but we've got to a place where we feel really good. So we've not pushed them out right now. We're kind of waiting on some other things to happen. Other ideas is I would love to create a student version of this course so that for orientation, for example, students are coming on. We want to make sure that every student has a baseline of skills of where they should be and how they can use Canvas. I think that's important. I also want to create, I've created in the past, and I want to recreate a Google Drive version of a course. So we would give you the folders and say, do this within Google Drive, and then we'll use the code to determine whether or not you've done that.
One thing that I was thinking about as I was kind of playing around was um, I don't know if there's like, another like additional things that you're wanting to take teachers through. And the state of Colorado, one of the big like points of, I don't know, not concern, but it's on people's horizon is the new accessibility law, where everything public facing within like public or state institutions needs to be web accessible. And I know that Canvas has some really rich like accessibility features. So that was something that came up for me as something that could be like another project is one of those like step-by-step guides of, how to ensure that your content is accessible and here's how to use the Canvas checker to do that kind of thing.
There's, there's a guy that I can't remember his name and I'd have to look for it. And if I find it, I'll post it. He did a lot of that accessibility. I've seen him at InstructureCon a few times now, walking around saying, here's how we do it. For us on our side, I'm looking for things that I can check with the code. And some of that's hard, and there's one task in there that people evaluate that I can't actually check. I just don't tell them I can't check. So yeah,
Gotcha.
it's trying to find those things that we can check. The next thing for us is to look at incorporating like ISTE standards just because they're universal, and then trying to tailor to states as well. Like instead of new to Colorado, I'm used to North Carolina, so it's learning what is going on here has been yeah. This project came about. This is something that we've built prior iterations before, and I think everybody probably has ideas of some kind of project they'd love to see if they can do on their own. Um, but I got sick in 2020, and that's what kind of brought about our move to Colorado. 4 brain surgeries in 6 months changes perspectives. And so once things have settled and we've gotten here, like, why not try to change the narrative? Why not try to do something, that's not being done, So, and how we've gotten here.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
The
Any
other thing
other,
is we dove into this and it was like, oh my gosh, what are we diving into? I'm sorry,
well,
you're
I,
going to say something else?
oh, I was just gonna stop the recording, but if anyone wants to add any questions to chat, feel free.